Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Larry Huffman, your host of this, another edition of the program that brings you the history of Supercross the way you like it, on two wheels. Now, in this episode, let's go back to the Tampa Supercross of 1988 and join Jeff Ward and Rick Johnson as we bring you the great Supercross racing battles of the 1988 season. Now, this is how I originally called the action from Tampa Stadium.
On Two Wheels, the history of Supercross is brought to you in part by Cycle News, America's weekly motorcycle news station. By Moto Video Home Entertainment, the exclusive home video supplier of America's toughest race on home video, the Blackwater 100. And by your local Suzuki Pro Level RM motorcycle dealer. Suzuki, the ride you've been waiting for. Home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is Tampa Stadium, site of tonight's Tampa AMA Supercross. As we get ready for heat number one in the 250 class of riders, let's look at some of the top stars. And there are some great ones lined up for this one, like Ron Lechien. They call him the Machine. He's out of El Cajon, California. Lechien on the Kawasaki. Then Johnny Osho O'Mara from Simi Valley, California, number 19, riding for Suzuki. And of course, the Golden Boy, Brock Glover, his final year of the contract, number 44, the Yamaha contract in El Cajon, California. And here we go, ready to start heat number one. They're off. There's a start down that long straightaway, and it looks like Lechien being edged by Glover. Lechien goes the inside, but it is a Golden Boy Glover in front. Ray Somo in the second spot, number 29, but it is Glover in those bright pink JT leathers, and Somo's down. Ray Somo goes down like a ton of bricks, and Lechien goes into second. So it is the Golden Boy, Brock Glover, the youngest AMA National Motocross champion, who gets dumped. And Glover goes down like an Idaho thermometer in January, and it is Lechien in front. Ron Lechien comes through like Mike Tyson on a bad day, and there's number 19, and that's Johnny Osho O'Mara trying to move up. But it is Ron Lechien, number 4, on the factory Kawasaki in front, and it looks like at this point O'Mara is the only one who can try to reel him in. Moving up now, some of the other riders. There's number 30, Brian Manley out of Placentia, moving up there. Billy the Bullet Frank behind him, number 36. Now Lechien is way out in front. O'Mara running in second spot. But this is the battle for third. And there's Glover trying to get back up into the fray. Number 44, you can see him right there running about fifth spot. Number 44, Glover, coming into our picture. The question is, can Glover come back? There's O'Mara, number 19. And there's number 30, Flying Brian Manley, the young man from Placentia, California. Billy Frank, number 36, behind him, and Glover knocking on the door, number 44. The final year of a multi-year contract for Yamaha, and Glover goes by and is starting to move up. There's Glover closing now on Manley. Manley on the Suzuki, last year Suzuki, Glover in a full-on factory Yamaha. And there's Manley, number 30. But there's the man everybody's watching, Lechien. This guy is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. He gets out in front, and it's whole Katie bar the door. No stopping. Look at him. He's playing now. Taking both feet off the pegs, 30 feet in the air. Glover having more of a problem than he thought. Now, Glover is trying to make points for Yamaha. He's got the final year of his contract. He wants to stay with Yamaha. He has never ridden for another brand. We understand he's talking to some European factories, like KTM, possibly. But at this point, Glover's in the final year of that Yamaha contract, and he goes up on Manley. Now, Glover's tough. He's also very intelligent. He will look for a hole, and there's the white flag. 1 lap to go, and Glover is trying to move up past Manley to pick up those points. Manley almost rammed by Glover. Now remember, Lechien is way out in front. The battle here is for the battle between Manley and Glover. Manley running in third spot, Glover in fourth. He'd like to move up to third and get into victory circle. Glover flying through the air, and Manley is stymieing him. He's blocking him at every turn when Glover tries to reel him in. The final lap. Lechien has got this one not only in the bank, he's got the money spent. This is the battle for third. O'Mara in second. Now Glover is going to try to reel in Manley and go around him. Glover to the outside. There's Lechien taking the checkered flag. There's O'Mara second. And Manley has held off Glover for third because Glover goes down. Glover has gone down more often than a elevator operator. I don't believe this. And Glover is frustrated. You know he is very, very upset. He doesn't even try to move up. He is mad. Oh! Hates to be Kenny Clark, Yamaha racing manager right now. He's not happy at all. And Glover is not happy either. He had a whole shot, got out in front, and Lechien put him down. So Ron Lechien wins heat number 1. O'Mara is second, and Flying Brian Manley, watch this kid, is third. Glover will have to ride in semi number 1 to see if he can get into tonight's main event. That's going to be tough. So Ron Lachine comes out on top and advances to the main. Before we get to Heat 2, let's go to the field and Larry Myers for an interview with Ron Lachine.
How about it? Winner of heat race number 1, Ron Lachine. An altercation on lap number 1, and I think Brock Glover just mentioned it to you as he pulled off the track.
Yeah, he was saying something about that.
Any comments?
Well, he almost killed me in the first turn. He ran in there. I thought he was going to put me up in the stands, so I figured I'd put him in the stand.
I don't know about the stands, but you put him down in the dirt, that's for sure. $500 goes to the Coors Coolest Move, and man, you were just making some tracks toward that $500.
Yeah, well, Johnson's still coming out there, so I don't know.
It looks like an aerial show.
Yeah, there's some nice jumps out there. I really like the track. It's kind of slick and hard to pass, but I overall like it.
That makes, when it's slick and hard to pass, it makes for tight, tough, excellent racing.
Yeah, that's for sure, Larry.
Good luck to you to Maine.
Thanks a lot.
Ron Lachine, ladies and gentlemen.
Coming up now is heat number 2, and here we go. The gate drops, and down that long straightaway they go. It is Holland putting the big red power of that Honda to the ground. Out in front, that's Mike Fisher, factory Kawasaki in second. And whoa, look out, there comes Wardy out of nowhere. Wardy, number 1, is going into second in front of Fisher, his teammate. Now Fisher is on a semi-works Kawasaki ride, but Jeff has got the full-on Kawasaki factory behind him, and there's Holland in front. Now Holland is about as tough to pass as Charlie Manson on a bad day, and Wardy knows that, so he's going to take his time and watch Holland and look for a perfect spot to go by. There's Fisher, you can see him just out of our screen, and there goes Wardy early, and Holland blocks him. George Holland, number 3, got married last year, said nothing's changed. He says, I'm still as happy. He's a farm boy from Northern California, born and bred up there. And here's Wardy on the inside. And Holland says, nope, not yet, buddy. Wardy back to the inside, using those short legs, that short squat stature, the low center of gravity to get around on the inside. And Holland, about 6 or 7 inches taller than Wardy and built like a football halfback, is blocking Wardy every turn. Holland's very confident. He switched from Suzuki to Honda this year, and a lot of people at Suzuki thought that was good for his career. He kind of burned out with Suzuki. And so Holland is looking good. Wobbling there. That's always a danger when you see him come down and start to wobble, and Wardy is on him like a Krishna on an airport traveler, looking for a place to go by. But Holland's tough, and he's smart also. He's got a lot of racetrack savvy. He's been around for a long time. Been knocking on the door of that 125 class for a number of years. Here's Wardy on the inside again, and there's Holland on the outside again. George Holland in front, factory Honda. Wardy is right on his back tire. Look at this, going up the outside. Look at Ward. He plays that Kawasaki like a Stradivarius, and Holland again, and Wardy goes by, and Holland goes back by. Exciting racing from Tampa Stadium, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Huffman calling the action, and Holland right now is giving Wardy a riding lesson, and look at that back wheel of Wardy wobble around like a stripper in the San Diego night spot. Boy, he's all over the track. It is Holland in front, number 3. And Jeff Ward, number 1 in second, in this near-capacity crowd at Tampa Stadium is on the edge of their seats watching this one. They're getting their money's worth, and so are you. You're seeing some exciting racing. Wardy is keeping the pressure on Holland, and Ward is a smart strategist. He knows racing. He knows how to keep the pressure on. And he's hoping that Holland is going to make a mistake. But so far, George has not obliged. There's Wardy again, but he backs off. Wardy is outweighed by Holland by probably 15 to 20 pounds. And that's really important when you try to get physical with another rider. You go back to the great days of John the Flying Hawaiian DeSoto, who was so strong and used his physical strength to block the other riders. White flag out. It is Holland trying to hold on to this lead, and Wardy wants to take it away from him. Holland, number 3. Honda, Wardy, the defending Supercross national champion, the number 1 plate in second spot. And now Wardy's got to get down to business. He's got to say, okay, here we go. We're going to roll that dice. But Holland is not making it easy for Ward. He goes to the outside. Wardy follows to the outside. George Holland and Jeff Ward, the final lap, ladies and gentlemen, heat number 2 here at Tampa. And everybody is watching the battle for first. Look at the infield people there. Got their eyes on Holland. Here it is, and Holland takes it. A surprise. Wardy did not gamble and did not try to go by him. Holland wins it. Wardy is second, and there is Keith Bowen finishing in third spot. Let's go down to the field, and Larry Myers.
How about this, George? The best race I ever rode in my life by George Holland. How about it, ladies and gentlemen? Man, I want to tell you, that was some masterful riding. You had one of the best in the world behind you, and every move he made, you managed to cut it off. You were great.
Yeah, Larry, I've been feeling pretty good on the 250 the last couple of weeks, and I felt pretty confident on the line. I told my mechanic I'm going to win this one, and I came out and won it.
George, usually when you have a rider the caliber of Jeff Ward behind you, and he's sticking, that rear wheel, the fender, inside your rear wheel, a rider has a tendency to move over, but man, you just handed it back in spades. What was going through your mind?
Well, I don't mind racing with Jeff because he's a really clean rider. He won't take you out, and I won't take him out. So it was a good, clean race, and I held him off at the end.
Let me point out to you before you go back to the pit area that Jeff had the opportunity. You went really wide right down there in that U-turn, and Jeff had the opportunity to stuff you right on the inside. And you know what he did? He backed off and said, "You've earned it, and go ahead." And I think that's a hell of a tribute to Jeff Ward.
Yeah, Jeff Ward's a good rider, and he's really clean, and I like to race with him.
A tribute to you because you rode one heck of a race, and I want to wish you the best in the main. You do that, and you got yourself a checkered flag there.
Thanks, Larry.
George Holland, ladies and gentlemen, Team Honda, Kerman, California.
And the gate drops, and here we go with heat number 3 from Tampa Stadium. Now, Johnson shouldn't have problems in this race, but he's right there in the middle of the pack, and it's Kehoe, number 9, in the lead. There's Johnson now trying to work the outside. It is Johnson in... Whoa, he's trouble! I started to say Johnson running about in third spot. He's in trouble and down and drops back. Now, remember, the AMA rules are the rider must finish in the top 3 here at Tampa Stadium if he is to move up to directly to the main event. Otherwise, he's got to ride a semi. And Johnson doesn't want to do that. It's hot here in Tampa. And there is number 9, Eric Kehoe, out in front. And that looks like Matasevich in second spot. And Matasevich goes down. Holy Toledo, they felt that in Japan. Number 9, check that, number 9, Kehoe is out in front. And Matasevich is down for the count, trying to get back up and get into the fray. And there is Johnson, another rider trying to get in the fray, and Johnson is way back in mid-pack. This is unlike Ricky Johnson. The bad boy is not riding well here at Tampa. There's Johnson, and his landings don't look good either. I can't believe this. Leask is moving up, but Johnson is not. There's Leask in front of him. Now Johnson's starting to move up. Eric Kehoe still in front. Now running second is number 21, Doug Dubach. And Johnson is moving up into fourth spot now and trying to close on Jeff Leask, his teammate, number 7. The crowd is watching Johnson. He is all alone. Believe me, this guy is all alone. Leask, number 7, in front of him. And that's where Johnson wants to be. He's got to move into the top 3. Larry Brooks, number 14, trying to get around Leask. Check that. Leask trying to get around Brooks. He's gone in front of Leask. Johnson is back in 5th spot at this point. Kehoe in front. Dubach, number 21, in 2nd spot. Then a battle for 3rd between Brooks and Leask, and then Johnson behind him. And I don't think in all the years I've called Supercross, I've not seen Johnson this far back in a heat race. In a main event, yes, but never in a heat race. And this is a surprise. They're lapping other riders. That is Larry Brooks. Number 14 is being passed by Johnson. Nope, yes. Johnson's got it. Johnson's got 4th. And Brooks takes it back. They're in the traffic now. Remember, Leask, number 7, is running in 3rd. Now Johnson's going for 4th. But no, Brooks slams the screen door right in his puss. And Johnson is sitting in 5th. That's the flag to move over the riders who are being lapped. Johnson landing and wobbling. You know there's something wrong. He's either tired or frustrated when he lands like that and wobbles all over the place like a drunken sailor on a 3-day pass. And Johnson is not putting the pressure on Brooks. I can't understand this. Brooks is not as far along as Johnson, yet he is frustrating the national champion. Johnson trying again now, looking for a hole, trying to get around Brooks, goes to the inside. And nope, Brooks holds him off. Brooks is riding a beautiful race, back and forth, blocking Johnson at every turn. And they're into traffic, and Brooks is using that traffic to great effectiveness to block Johnson, and Johnson is getting frustrated. Nobody wants to win more than Ricky Johnson, but I can't believe it here in Tampa. In this heat, he can't get by Brooks. Now remember, your leader is number 9, Eric Kehoe. Factory Suzuki way out in front. Dubach, number 21, is second. And here is the battle for fourth spot because Leask is running in third. That's right, Leask, number 7, is third. Then in fourth spot is Brooks, number 14, Kawasaki Privateer. A little bit of factory support from Roy Turner at Kawasaki. And Johnson, the hottest rider in the world today, is riding like the coldest rider in the world. There they go into traffic. Now getting close. And no, Brooks cuts him off again. And Johnson comes back. Trying to use traffic to block. That's Keith Bowen trying to move up there. But it is Johnson, frustrated, cannot move up. Cannot seem to move up. The battle is for fourth spot. Johnson has got to pass this kid, number 14, Larry Brooks, and then pass another rider, number 7, Leask, if he's going to transfer. And I'm telling you, history will be made and myths will be destroyed if Johnson doesn't move into at least third to transfer. He's going to have to ride a semi. Brooks is playing with Johnson. I don't believe this. Now they're closing on Leask. Leask is in third spot. That's what Johnson's got to get. But here's your leader, number 9, Eric Kehoe. Hotter than a $2 pistol. Johnson rams Brooks, and he goes by. Demolition Derby, the checker flag falls, and Johnson is in fourth spot. He doesn't transfer. Heat number 3, official results. Eric Kehoe, beautiful victory. Duboc second, Jeff Lees third. The big story, Ricky Johnson unable to finish in the top 3. He's got to go to semi number 2. Let's go to the field and Larry Meyer.
Thank you very much, Larry Huffman. With me, winner of heat race number 3 and the 1987 US 125 Grand Prix. Also, winner of both 125 Outdoor Nationals held so far this year. Would you welcome, please, Granada Hills, California, riding for Team Suzuki, Eric Kehoe. Eric, you know what's kind of neat about this? Yourself and George Holland have been, for the past several years, damn near inseparable. Seems like where one of you were, the other one was. Now, George is gone. He's with Team Honda. However, tonight, you're back together again in the winner's circle.
Yeah, along the time of mini bikes, we were growing up. We were always racing it together. We know what each other can do, and he's riding good. I feel like I'm riding good, so we're both going to be out there dicing.
The impressive thing, I think, to those of us that go to a lot of motocross events is the fact that yourself and George, who have been for the past several years primarily 125 riders, are really making an impact in this 250cc class.
Yeah, I feel really good, Larry. I'm riding my 250 a lot better. I've been doing a lot of practicing on it, and I'm also concentrating on the 125 Nationals. So I just feel like I'm out there to get good points and do some racing.
You get a hole shot like you did out here, in the heat race, and you get that same hole shot in the main event, and you got a crack at that checkered flag, partner.
Yeah, I feel like I'm riding pretty smooth, so if I get a good start, I'll be up there.
Good luck.
Thanks, Larry.
Eric Kehoe, ladies and gentlemen, your winner of heat race number 3, and we will go upstairs to Larry Huffman, the voice of Supercross.
Thank you, Larry Myers. Good interview. We'll be back with more racing from Tampa Stadium right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Tampa Supercross, and we are set for semi-heat number 1, the 250 class. Now, the top 6 finishers advance to the main event. The riders to look for in this heat, well, number 44, Brock Glover, that's a surprise. Number 14, Larry Brooks, and number 17, Canadian champion Ross Rollerball Peterson. And if he doesn't do well, we're going to call him Roller Skate Peterson. The gate drops, and there they go, and it is Glover. Look at this guy. He kicks in the afterburner, and it's goodbye, mama. Brock Glover, number 44, and those bright pink leathers out in front. 14, Brooks running in second spot. And it looks like Peterson moving up. Let's check as they come around. It is Glover definitely in front, and that's Brooks in second spot. And Brock Glover. Now remember, the top 6 go to the main event. And it is Glover right now with Brooks, number 14, and that's Peterson. Yes, number 17, Ross Rollerball Peterson, Canadian national champion in third spot. The green flag, and look at these guys go. That means that 1 lap is completed, and we're set to go all the way to the end. No problems. And there is Larry Brooks from Southern California. Went to Japan with that boy in the second Super Bowl of motocross in Japan back in 1983. He was a 16-year-old kid. Boy, he's hot. He tore him up in Japan. Number 14, Glover in front. 44, Glover in front. 14 in second spot is Larry Brooks. There's Brooks right there. And in third spot, right out of our camera, and good camera work, I might point out, is number 17, Ross Rollerball Peterson. We talked earlier about this guy, Glover, the youngest national champion in AMA racing history, any type of motorcycle racing. 17 years old, his first 125 national championship. He was a high school senior and honor student in El Cajon, California. Had special permission from the principal to race on weekends. He got off early on Friday and came back late on Monday. And he is in the twilight of his great career. And there's number 14, Brooks, who is on the upside of his career, moving up and flying through the air there. He has factory support from Kawasaki. Glover, the final year in his multi-year contract for Yamaha. He's like 27 years old, 26, 27. He has never raced for another factory other than Yamaha. And let me tell you that Glover would like to do well here at Tampa. Look at now, Peterson starting to reel in number 14, Brooks. Brooks riding the rear wheel. That's how you got to go over those whoops. You watch these guys. It's a price of admission just to watch them ride the whoops. Lapping slower riders, number 565. There is number 14 in second spot, Brooks. Now remember, Glover, number 44, is way out in front. The battle is for second spot between Brooks and Peterson, but it is the top 6 who go to the main event in the semi. Glover on the Rapid YZ250. He first wore those pink letters at the LA Coliseum a few years ago, and he said he had to win his race because everybody would really laugh at him if he wore pink letters and didn't do well. And thank goodness he did do well. Yamaha has had their ups and downs, and mostly downs lately. They've not won a national championship in motocross or supercross for a number of years. Back in the early days when Hanna was riding the Yamaha and they just dominated, everybody was winning on a Yamaha. And now Glover's trying to break that spell and long list of defeats and win here tonight at Tampa. Big crowd here, and they like seeing racing, I'll tell you. Glover in front, Brooks in second, number 14. Brooks from the LA area in Southern California. Glover from El Cajon, the same place that Johnson and Lachine come from. It must be something in the water that gives him so much speed. There's Brooks now. In third spot is Peterson, the Canadian from Medicine Hat, Alberta, and they're going through traffic so you can't see him. He's back a couple of riders, but he is running third. Glover in front, number 44. Semi-action number 1. Larry Huffman calling the action here in a rather uneventful semi. Glover got out in front. He's kind of running away with it right now. Fourth spot is Billy the Bullet Frank, number 36. And back in fifth is Fred Andrews, number 18. And this young man, number 14, seems content to stay in second spot. I don't blame Brooks. He's about a half a foot shorter than Glover, and Glover can get real physical when he wants to. And if you remember earlier in the heat race, Glover went on his head a couple times, and he's not real happy about that. And you don't want to, it's like messing with a bear. You don't want to mess with Glover when he's not real happy, and Brooks knows that. Brock Glover, the golden boy of Supercross, we call him. He was in a movie called Winners Take All last year. Had a dramatic part, and there's the checkered flag, and Glover wins it. Not a whole lot of excitement, but he did it. And Brooks will take second. And Peterson third. Fourth spot, Billy Frank. Fifth, Fred Andrews. And that wraps up semi number 2. So Glover goes to the main event. Brooks is second. He'll go. Peterson also makes his way to the main. Billy Frank and Fred Andrews rounding out the top 5. Semi-action number 1 here. A rather uneventful race. I don't know if Glover would agree with that, but he's happy any way at all to get to the main event. He'll come in any way he can, the back door. And here's semi number 2. Ricky Johnson, number 2, in a rare appearance as he makes his final bid for a spot in tonight's main event. The other riders to look for, Keith Bowen and young Jeff Stanton, both needing finishes in the top 6. They go to the main, and here goes the gate, and they're off. And it is Johnson serving notice early. He ain't going to mess around, folks. He is out in front, number 2, Ricky Bad Boy Johnson. And let's check second spot. It looks like a Kawasaki coming up in second. And I believe that is Matasevich, the Mad Russian, Jeff Chicken Matasevich, out in front. Second spot, rather, chasing the leader, number 2, Ricky Johnson. Now, Matasevich has just been moved up by Kawasaki into the 250 Supercross ranks. He is an expert 125 rider. They don't get no better than Matasevich. But Roy Turner, the Kawasaki racing manager, is grooming this kid for 250 action next year. So he's throwing him into the fray with guys like Johnson so Matasevich can pick up that needed experience. He's only like 17, 18 years old. He's a kid, wet behind the ears, but he is tough. Number 201, Jeff Matasevich. Matasevich running in second spot. Number 201. Johnson in front, way out in front, and I mean way out in front, ladies and gentlemen. Keith Bowen and Jeff Stanton trying to move up behind Matasevich. But it is Johnson's race so far, with Matasevich trying to hold on to second spot. Jeff Matasevich, 201. They call him the chicken, running in second spot. There are the mechanics giving the pit signals to the rider. We're not showing you Johnson. Well, okay, here's a couple shots of Johnson. He's starting. When Johnson feels good, he will start showboating for the crowd. And the louder the crowd responds, the crazier the Ricky Johnson gets. Might have some shots of Johnson doing some bizarre stuff off the jumps. But right now, it's Matasevich in second. He is Jeff Ward's full-fledged teammate in that Kawasaki factory team lineup. And he is getting the very, very needed experience. There he lands kind of hard and wobbles a little bit. But he is getting that experience he needs to battle with the big boys. And this is the guy, one of the guys that Kawasaki figures is coming up in the ranks and is going to be giving Johnson a run for his money in a year or two. So he's getting some experience in this semi-action. Now remember, the top 6 go to the main event. Johnson now getting a little sideways. Crowd loves him. Ricky can do more with a motorcycle than just about anybody else in the world right now. He can make that thing sing. A warm night here in Tampa. Bill West, the promoter. The Tampa Supercross, a good big crowd here. Not announced yet, but there are a lot of people watching the action. You got your own front row seat right here. Larry Huffman calling the action for you. You can always tell when a rider's out in front when nobody is in frame behind him. You can't see anybody running in third spot. It is Matasevich in second. And Johnson way, way, way out in front. He gives a high side to the crowd. You see that? Johnson, that's called a pancake. He takes his left hand off the bars and gives a thumbs up side to the crowd, and the crowd responds. They love this guy here in Tampa. Johnson is having fun. He loves the spotlight, and he is having a ball. Here's second spot, Jeff Chicken Matasevich. Great story on how he got that name. Roy Turner doesn't like me to talk about it, so I won't talk about it now, but Matasevich has got a bizarre nickname. Keith Bowen, Jeff Stanton trying to move up also, but nobody is putting pressure on Matasevich at this point. There's Ricky getting more radical. When you got a dull race, you can always count on Johnson to spice things up. He'll get radical, more and more radical. And the crowd absolutely loves him. Johnson is using this time also to check the track out, because he's got to come out in the main event in a few minutes and ride that main event. So he's checking things out, seeing how the track is holding up. John Savitsky, the man who built it, does an excellent job of building the track. And it's tough using this floor to dirt, especially on a hot day. You've got to be real careful about how you... Whoa! Matasevich lands hard, shakes up his ancestors, and wobbles. You've got to be careful just to get enough dirt on that track to keep it moist, but not too moist, and you can't let it dry out. And it's been very warm here in Tampa, let me tell you. Johnson going a little wild too, again, gets crazy, now turns and takes both hands off the bars and gives the people a high sign. The V for victory sign, I believe. Don't try this yourself if you're riding, unless you're really crazy. Because Ricky is one of the best in the world, and he can get away with it. Heading for the checkered flag, Ricky Johnson, semi number 2. And we are waiting for the checkered flag to come out, and there it is. Both hands off the bars, and Ricky wins it. So Ricky Johnson avenges that terrible showing in his heat race earlier by blowing him away in the semi. He goes to the main, along with Jeff Matasevich, Keith Bowen, and Jeff Stanton, some of the riders to watch for in the main. We'll be back with more racing right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Doug the Wheelie King Demokas. Tonight he's going to try something that has never before been attempted. You're not going to believe this. Get ready for some excitement. Doug is going to attempt to ride his 3-wheeled ATV on a high-wire apparatus 20 feet above the ground. That's Gary Bailey he's talking to, Demokas, right now down on the field. Gary Bailey, the father of David Bailey. Now, Doug Demokas is out of Niles, Michigan. He's a former motocrosser who discovered he could wheelie better than anybody else in the world. He's in the Guinness World Book of Records. He's been on the television show That's Incredible. And he's been featured in the National Enquirer from his stunts. Here he goes. He's got to try to wheelie 20 feet above the ground. Now, he just finished building the apparatus 2 days before he is appearing here in Tampa, just 2 days ago. He has never even practiced it, and I'm serious. I've spent some time with Doug. He has never practiced this stunt before. You are seeing it for the first time in the world. And he looks like he might be having a few problems. Let's check things out. Everything has got to be set right. The exact tire pressure on those rear tires, very crucial. He's got to drop the pressure way down to get them on the lines, on the high wire. There are 2 wires set exactly the width apart of the wheels of that ATV. Doug Demokis, he is the best in the world at wheeling. He's wheelied all over the world, including the world's highest wheelie around the Empire State Building. Believe it or not, he did that. Okay, set now. Look at the large orange hooks. Those are tensioners to tense the wire down, to tighten it up, to make it just exactly right. Okay, here we go. Again, he has never done this before. Now, you hear this and you think that's hype. It is not hype. I'm telling you for real, he has never done this stunt before. 20 feet above the ground. And Demokis told me earlier he was a little bit nervous about this stunt. Here he goes. Standing on the back of the ATV. Look at this. Look at the concentration. There is nothing between that front wheel and the ground but about 20 feet of floor to air, ladies and gentlemen.
Feeling the tension.
There you go.
The wire.
Demokis going higher and higher and higher.
20 feet high.
And this is difficult. Look at this. Look at this. There's a high camera eye view of Demokis. 20 feet. He did the welding on those giant supports himself. He's a good machinist, Demokis is, and knows a lot about welding. He's built a lot of his own equipment. Okay, getting higher and higher and higher. Look at there. There's from the ground. How'd you like to be riding a 3-wheeler that high? He has made it to the top. Look at the crowd. Look at him watching. The flash bulbs go off. Now, on the top, balancing. The incredible sense of balance this young man has. 31 years old, living in Southern California now. And he stops to balance the ATV atop 20 feet in the air. I don't believe this. Look at this.
Back and forth. Rocking back and forth. Down.
Now, making his way across and then down. Look at this. The crowd seeing it for the first time anywhere in the world. One mistake, if those rear tires move over 4 inches, he is falling with an ATV on top of him. All the way to the ground. Now, down the other side. Unbelievable. Doug Demokis does it. The crowd loves it. Look at this. They can't believe it. People are standing and cheering. The best in the world at wheeling, ladies and gentlemen. Doug Demokis, the wheelie king from Niles, Michigan. We'll be back with the main event from Tampa Stadium. I don't see how I can get more exciting than this, but you're going to see some excitement with Ricky Johnson and Glover and all the rest right after this. Thank you, Doug. Here we go, ready for the main. They lean forward, look at the crowd, and here we go. The gate drops, and they are off, and it is going to be Lachine. Looks like Lachine on the Kawasaki taking the lead. No, it is Wardy. It was a Kawasaki. We thought it was Lachine, but it's Jeff Ward in front. One rider down. We didn't get his number. But Jeff Ward, who's done so well this year in Supercross at Houston, is going to try to win it here at Tampa. And it looks like Matasevich, his teammate, coming up in second. That's Matasevich. Then number 9, that is Keogh in third. The green flag out, the race is on. Jeff Ward in front, Matasevich serving as a buffer in second spot. And then number 2, Johnson is broken to third. And Johnson is riding like a man possessed in third. And he's going to try to reel in Matasevich. There's Wardy, and there's Matasevich in midair also. And Johnson coming up behind him. Now Matasevich, if he can, will try to block Johnson for Wardy, but I don't know if Matasevich has got the experience. He doesn't. We found that out real fast. Johnson goes by him like a snake oil salesman of the night. So it is Wardy in front, Johnson running second. The great battle in Supercross this year. And for the past couple of years, nobody else has been in these guys' league. Nobody's even been close. A couple of flashes of brilliance, but it is Ricky Johnson in second spot trying to reel in Jeff Ward. Number 2, Ricky Johnson trying to reel in Wardy. Ward in front. Johnson in second spot. There's Jeff. Notice Jeff is not showboating at all. He is not flamboyant. He is getting it on, putting the motorcycle to the ground, the power to the rear wheel, and staying out in front, trying to stay away from Johnson. Wardy knows, he's already been signaled by his mechanic, that Johnson is closing on him. So Jeff Ward in front, Ricky Johnson running in second spot, Matasevich running in third. And now Ricky Johnson has got to do what he does better than anybody else in the world. Look at Johnson. He's wobbling. You can tell he's riding 110%, making a few mistakes, but still moving up on Wardy. One of the most exciting things to watch in racing is Johnson getting into second place or third place and moving up. The crowd responds. They love Johnson, and that will encourage Johnson to go for it. Again, Wardy, no wasted motion, no showboating at all. He knows he's got a job to do. He's got to stay in front of Johnson. He doesn't have time to play, and Johnson will not play either. Make no mistake about that. Johnson is dead serious. He's as serious as a heart attack. Going after Wardy. Matasevich trying to hold on to third. Johnson bouncing over those whoops. There's Wardy. Let's see. There's Johnson right behind. Look at Johnson go through the turn a little bit faster than Wardy. He's picking up 10 feet here, 5 feet there, and he's starting to make life interesting for Jeff Ward, to say the least. This is the main event, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Huffman calling the action. You got your own ringside seat, watching Ricky Johnson trying to reel in this young man from Mission Viejo. Johnson in second, number 2. Wardy, number 1 in front. Wardy's mom has a Ferrari with on the license plate Wardy's mom, if you can believe that. Very attractive. Wardy's down, and Johnson takes the lead. Wardy handed that lead to Johnson on a silver platter, and Wardy is trying to move up on him. Let's see if we got a look at Wardy going down. He's trying to reel in Johnson. He's keeping the pressure on Johnson. Yes, here's a look. Instant replay. Wardy, let's see what happened. Comes up with the jump, moves his tailbone back over the rear wheel. It's a tabletop jump. Shouldn't have any problem. Not a difficult jump. Lands hard. He lands in the sand, and the front wheel washes out. And down goes Jeff Ward, hard. And here comes Johnson to take over the lead. Well, that's a lucky break for Johnson, and he needs one tonight here in Tampa. Ward keeps the engine running. Notice the presence of mind. Does not kill the engine. He doesn't have to waste time starting it. He keeps the throttle on, pulls the clutch in when he goes down, and he is right back on the back tire of Ricky Johnson. So, the table has turned, and Johnson is in front with Wardy second. Over the triples. Actually, 2.5, actually, and then another big jump, a couple of big jumps. But it is Ricky Johnson, number 2 in front, with Jeff Ward now number 1 in second. Now this is where Johnson has prevailed, because Wardy will try to reel him in and then back off and seemingly lose interest. The only rider in the world who can keep Johnson in sight is Wardy when Wardy wants to. But Wardy is riding very strong now. And he's down again! I can't believe this. Ricky Johnson didn't even touch him. He wasn't within 3 feet of him, and Wardy went down. And Johnson's looking around saying, what happened? Let's take a look back and see if we can figure out what happened. If you're watching us to get hints on how to ride, we're showing you how not to crash, or how to crash, rather. Here's Wardy. That's Johnson on the right. Gets a little bit wild. The suspension working extremely strong. Now here goes to the inside. A little different camera angle now on Wardy. And if he can get that power to the ground, he's going to pass Johnson. But nope, the rear wheel just simply slides out. This hard North Florida clay-type substance takes its toll again, and Wardy is down. Hits the deck faster than a Mike Tyson opponent. And Wardy, look at that, keeps the engine running, but it gives Johnson a tremendous lead. There's Keogh running in front of Wardy now, and Fred Andrews, number 18, also in the fray. Looks like Fred Andrews here is number 36. I stand corrected. I said 18, but it is Keogh now trying to reel in Andrews, and they're way behind Johnson, who's way out in front. And also Matasevich is up there too. Don't count out Matasevich, running around about the 4th spot. He's battling Lachine, actually. But it is Ricky Johnson in front, Keogh trying to move up. I believe that is 36 Billy Frank there in front. Fred Andrews is number 18. And Lachine is trying to reel in Billy the Bullet Frank. And there's Wardy right behind. Oh, look, he passed. Did you see that? Is there a Tampa policeman in the house? Because he just committed grand larceny. Wardy went around Keogh on the outside. Keogh looked around on the inside, and Wardy went by and thumbed his nose at him as he went by. Unbelievable. Wardy is coming back. He's passing Frank. He's trying to go for second. I believe he's got it, too. Let's check. Yes, it is Johnson in front, Wardy in second. Boy, and Wardy has suddenly come alive. The battle of the Titans. Now, Holland, I don't know if he's waving Wardy by or not. I think he might be doing that. He's going to let Wardy go by. Yes, Holland is going to let Wardy go by. And that's the way it should be. Meanwhile, Ricky Johnson is hotter than a $2 pistol out here in Tampa on a beautiful Saturday night. Is, like we say, playing that motorcycle like a Stradivarius violin. Look at this guy go. He is out in front. Now, the question is, if Johnson feels secure enough over this young man, will he start showboating? Another rider about to be lapped by Wardy. Johnson setting a blistering pace here. Has not made any mistakes yet. Move over flag comes out. Wardy in second spot. Johnson in front. Lapping riders at will. The main event here at Tampa. Larry Huffman calling the action. A rather uneventful race since Wardy fell twice. Here's Johnson through the whoops. Heading for the checkered flag. Can he hold on? How close is Wardy? Well, Wardy's moving up, but not really that much of a factor yet. Of course, there's traffic, and traffic can always be a problem. There's Frank being lapped by Johnson. Frank was running up there in the top 5 earlier. Something happened. Something went wrong. There's Ricky. Where's Wardy? These are all lapped riders we're watching. Johnson has gone across the finish line jump. There's Wardy in second spot and quite a ways back, too. In the waning moments of this 250 Supercross Championship, the event here at Tampa Stadium, the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I asked one of the security people here who works at the stadium earlier, is this where the Tampa Bay Bucs play? And he says, that's debatable. He says, they don't do well here, but they play, I guess. And right now, Ricky Johnson does do well. He is on the gas. Through the whoops. But notice that Johnson is not showboating at all. He's not playing around at all. Riding a very smart race, very conservative race, now that he's out in front. And here's Wardy in second, but back quite a ways. Several turns back from Johnson is Wardy. And Jeff Ward, as Roy Turner told us earlier, knows he's got to win tonight to be in contention for that championship, to hold on that plate for another year, but it doesn't look like he's going to win unless something really goes wrong with Johnson. Johnson again lapping riders, and that's always dangerous. You don't know what the guy in front of you is going to do. You put out that purple flag, and the rider doesn't see it, and he can move over, and suddenly your race is over. Whoop! Johnson gets in the whoops, into the sand, and wobbles a little bit. Might be getting tired. He's had to ride the semi, remember. Keep that in mind. He's unaccustomed to that. White flag! 1 lap to go, and Johnson breathes a sigh of relief. Let's watch and see if we can see Wardy. Now he's way, way back. Nope, still no sign of Ward. There he is. He's got about 5 lapped riders between him and Johnson, and Jeff knows right now the only way he's going to stop Ricky Johnson is with a gun. So Wardy will pick up second place tonight if it goes another lap like this. Johnson will take the victory. Let's see if Johnson gets a little crazy over the jumps here in the final lap. There's Wardy, number 1. Johnson is way out in front, number 2. And there it is. Nope, 1 hand off the bars, and Ricky wins it.
So Rick Johnson was crowned 1988 Supercross champion. The second Supercross crown he had won in the last 3 years. But let's not forget the great champion Jeff Ward, who will be back for revenge in 1989. I'm Larry Huffman, and that concludes this chapter of the history of Supercross. Join me next time for a complete highlight of this final chapter in Supercross racing from the year 1988, as our quest continues for the greatest Supercross champions who have ever raced on 2 wheels. Hello, Supercross fans. I'm Larry Huffman, bringing you that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience the history of Supercross from 1975 through 1988, the way it was meant to be seen on two wheels. In our final episode, I want to show you our last chapter in the Supercross story, with a special edition of our show highlighting the entire 1988 Supercross racing season that was captured thanks to the introduction of home video. Join me now as I announce the best of Supercross from 1988.
On Two Wheels, the history of Supercross is brought to you in part by Cycle News, America's weekly motorcycle newspaper. By Moto Video Home Entertainment, the exclusive home video supplier of America's toughest race on home video, the Blackwater 100. And by your local Suzuki Pro Level RM motorcycle dealer. Suzuki, the ride you've been waiting for. From Anaheim Stadium, the home of the Angels and the Rams, this is the Coors Supercross of Stadium Motocross, round one. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman to call the action, and with me, David Stanfield. And David, we have got a lineup of riders tonight. They're all here, and they are all healthy.
The best riders in the world are here, headed by Jeff Ward and Ricky Johnson, the number 1 and 2 plates. They dominate motocross. They've done it for the last 2 years.
But don't count out Brock Glover, back for the first time in a year, and this guy looks good in practice.
Hey, they said he was washed up. Brock Glover with a lot of broken wrists, a broken leg. He's Team Yamaha's secret hope.
The great white hope. And also Mickey Diamond, who is the first time tonight on a factory Yamaha. First ride, switching from Honda to Yamaha.
The fearless, high-flying Mickey Diamond. This is his track.
And speaking of high-flying, these guys are going to have a pilot's license to get over these jumps. I've never seen a track with so much air.
It is true. They spend more time in the air than on the ground.
And this is the main event of the Mickey Thompson Supercross of Stadium Motocross, and there they go. Down the front straightaway at close to 60 miles an hour, and it is Doug Duboc taking the lead. Oh, he's down. Duboc goes into a hay bale and goes down. Tries to get back up, and that puts it looks like Ricky Johnson and Jeff Ward out in front. Let's check it. Around the right-hander, and it is Johnson. Johnson in front with Ward second. And there is Ward in the air. He's got Johnson. A beautiful move by Jeff Ward. David Stanfield, that was absolute perfection, that pass.
Set him up in the whoop-de-doos.
Here comes Johnson on the whoops, coming up right behind Wardy, and there he goes to the inside. Where Ward did not expect him to pass, Johnson came by.
Outstanding move. Ricky Johnson on the inside, he pegged it.
But there it is. Ricky's got it. Ricky takes the gold. So Ricky Johnson comes from behind to beat Jeff Ward here at Anaheim. Mickey Diamond is second. Ward has got to settle for third, and happy to be at third, I would think. Glover is fourth. Eric Kehoe fifth. Ron Lachine sixth. Jeff Lease, George Holland, and privateer Doug Duboc. Jeff Stanton rounds out the top 10. From San Diego's Jack Murphy Stadium, this is round two of the Supercross at Stadium Motocross. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman. With me to call the action, David Stanfield. And David Stanfield, the fans are coming in, and a lot of people are here tonight to see what you call the El Cajon Zone.
3 guys that live about 12 minutes away right up the freeway is Ricky Johnson, Brock Glover, and Ronnie Lachine.
And Johnson is coming off a win at Anaheim, so he's pumped.
He is pumped, but remember, those 3 guys have won this race 5 times previously.
Another rider to watch for tonight who doesn't really care if the fans are behind him is Jeff Ward.
Jeff Ward loves to be the underdog. He loves that kind of incentive.
Yeah, no question. Mickey Diamond, another rider to watch for on a Yamaha. He has come from behind to finish second, to finish third at some of the other races. He's long overdue for a victory.
Hey, you talk about these Supercross tracks with big air. Mickey Diamond's got to love this thing because there are some incredible jumps here tonight.
And McGee drops for the main event from San Diego. And out in front, local boy, number 2, Ricky Johnson. But there's a collision, Dave.
The first turn pileup. Leask and Duboc are among the 8 riders down.
And they battled earlier in their heat. All right, the main event underway, and Ricky Johnson, the crowd favorite here in San Diego, is out in front. Second, a surprise, Mickey Diamond is running second, factory Yamaha. And third, Jeff Ward, number 1. You can see him right there, back by Stanton.
Here comes Wardy, and he's coming on strong, a new line to the outside.
Johnson to the inside, Ward to the outside, Ward passes, can he hold on? Yes! Johnson wobbles on the top of the tabletop. Johnson putting the pressure on Ward, he goes to the inside, look at that, locks up the rear wheel!
Amazing pass block, what a move.
Unreal. Johnson going for the checkered flag, he's got it, Johnson wins it. Ward comes over in second, and Ward is frustrated, no question about it. The results: Ricky Johnson, Jeff Ward, Ron Lachine, Mickey Diamond, Glover in 5th, Holland 6th, Kehoe, Jeff Stanton, Billy the Bullet Frank, and Keith Bowen. We're back at the Houston Astrodome on the race that everybody's been waiting for, the showdown between Jeff Ward and Ricky Johnson. And here's the main, and it is Wardy. Jeff Ward on the factory Kawasaki taking the lead. Holland, number 3, goes in front and drives to the outside. Riders down. Jeff Hicks, Jeff Leask, and Ray Somo tangled there in the back of the pack along with about 4 or 5 other riders, but it is Jeff Ward out in front. And this is what the crowd has seen for the past 4 years here at Houston. Wardy getting out in front and never stopped. Holland running in 2nd spot, number 3. Let's check as they come up. That is number 6, Mickey Diamond in 3rd, and Ricky Johnson, number 2 and 4th. So Wardy, the main event here at Houston, has taken the whole shot and is out in front. It's a very tight technical track, not a lot of long straightaways, not like the Anaheim track, and Wardy excels in this type of a track. Holland number 3 and 3rd, Diamond, now Johnson in 4th. But the eyes of Texas are on Jeff Ward out in front. Ward wobbles a little bit, coming off the jump, over the triple jump, styles it a little bit, sets up for the turn. Johnson gets more height than Wardy, but Johnson at this point is in 4th. There's Wardy in front. Diamond running in 3rd spot, Johnson in 4th, and Johnson now starting to put the pressure on Diamond. There's Ward in front, number 1 of the green Kawasaki. Holland in 2nd spot, and here comes Johnson. Johnson makes the move into 3rd. He goes in front of Diamond. So Ricky Johnson running 3rd. There's Johnson right in front of number 6, Mickey Diamond. So Ward in front, big lead. Look at Jeff's lead. In 2nd spot, George Holland. In 3rd, Johnson. Remember now that Wardy is using something that none of the other riders except Lachine have. A one-way radio from team manager Roy Turner sitting up in the press box. And he is feeding both Ward and Lachine on different channels information on who's behind him. First time it's been used in an AMA Supercross race. The question is how long until it's outlawed by the AMA. 2nd spot, Holland number 3, and Johnson now number 2 and 3rd. But it is Wardy's race at this point in the main event here at the Houston Astrodome. Look at the lead between 1st and 2nd. Where is Holland? There comes Holland. No, Johnson is taken 2nd. Johnson slips by Holland as they go into the tunnel and goes into 2nd. So now it is the race the fans paid their money to see. Jeff Ward in front and Ricky Johnson 2nd. Look at the crowd standing. Wardy knows that Johnson is in 2nd by virtue of the one-way radio, the communication with his team manager. Johnson methodically trying to pick up a foot here and a foot there, gaining on Wardy. And Wardy is riding Mr. Cool. This guy is absolutely incredible under pressure. There's Johnson now getting on the same straightaway with Ward and starting to reel in Wardy. You got to wonder if Houston might not have something against Ricky Johnson. He's not won here. Now, they go into traffic. Lapping number 17, and that puts another lap rider between Johnson and Ward. And lap riders could definitely be a difference as Johnson goes around number 17. That's Ross Rollerball Peterson out of Canada. Number 1, Wardy in front, Johnson in 2nd spot. And Wardy is riding just as hard as he has to ride. He's making no mistakes, although there is Johnson. You can see the difference. Oh, Wardy almost goes down. He slams into the berm. And Johnson sees him. Johnson squares off the turn. So Johnson is starting to smell blood. He's starting to reel in Ward, and the crowd is responding. Johnson trying to reel in Wardy. The crowd waving on their favorite if it happens to be Ward or Johnson. Most of the people here are cheering on Johnson because he's the underdog. And Johnson's unaccustomed to this. He's not been an underdog in a lot of races very much lately. Now, no traffic between them. Wardy in front, Johnson in 2nd spot. Back in the pack. It's back a ways. That's the lap rider, number 17, Peterson. The battle for 3rd is still between Holland and Diamond. But the crowd is watching these two. And look at now, Johnson's starting to reel him in. But again, and the white flag is out. Again, remember, Ward is getting signals from his team manager, Roy Turner, from the press box. He knows exactly where Johnson is, and that's a major factor in this race. The white flag lap. Johnson trying to reel in Wardy. Now, Johnson pulling out all the stops. Wardy heading for the checkered flag. Johnson hoping, praying for a mistake. Look at the pitman signal Wardy. His mechanic signaling, go for it. Keep your cool, keep your head. Another lap rider between them. Johnson, number 2 in second spot. Here's Wardy through the whoops. Whoa, that is poetry in motion, ladies and gentlemen. Wardy over the jumps. Notice, no waving to the crowd. He wants to hold on the lead because Johnson wants to take it away from him. They are heading for the checkered flag here at the Houston Astrodome, the first AMA Supercross of 1988. And Wardy has just about got this one, and Johnson won't give up. Wardy lapping Holland. Incredible. Holland falling way back. And here's the finish. Wardy holding on, looks behind him, and Johnson comes up, heading for the checkered flag. He's got it, kicks his foot out, and takes it, and he's happy. So the final, the main event. Jeff Ward takes home the bacon. Ricky Johnson is second. Mickey Diamond on the Yamaha third. Ron Lachine is fourth. Eric Kehoe is fifth. Brock Glover takes sixth. Holland is seventh. Jeff Stanton eighth. Jeff Lease in ninth. And Sean Kalos from Arizona in 10th. So the point standings thus far places Ricky Johnson in first, Jeff Ward in second, and Ron Lachine third. And the largest crowd to see a Supercross in the Pontiac Silverdome in almost 8 years gets set for the Sunday afternoon showdown between Jeff Ward and Ricky Johnson. And now we go to the race the crowd has paid their money for. The 250 main event here at the Pontiac Silverdome. And there's your riders, all the superstars. Number 44, Brock Glover. You wonder what's going through his mind. Coming back after 2 years, last year of a Yamaha contract. There's number 4, Ron Lachine, gets off the bike. Number 9, Eric Kehoe, who's long overdue for a Supercross win. There's number 3, George Holland. And Holland is also yet to be a winner in a Supercross. He's not yet won one. Talk about gunfighter eyes. Ricky Johnson, look at the concentration on this young man's face. And his nemesis, Jeff Ward. And Ward, right now, I flat guarantee, is wondering, can I beat Johnson in this main event? That is what is going through Jeff Ward's mind right now. All right, we are set to go for the main event. The 1988 Pontiac Supercross. Larry Huffman caught on the action. And get set, get your seatbelts fastened, because here we go. A long, long straightaway. There's Jeff Ward in the center. Has he got the lead? No. Dubach on the Yamaha comes out on the outside, and Ward is second. They go up the uphill. Ward sneaks to the inside. Dubach shuts the door. Now Ward takes it back, and Dubach is right on his back tire. Back down to the bottom of the floor. Over the triple jump. Jeff Ward in front. That's number 23, Ronnie Tischner in third on the Suzuki. Ward, Kawasaki, Dubach, Yamaha, and Tischner, Suzuki. And there is Johnson back in about fourth spot and battling. Jeff Ward in front, number 1. Then Doug Dubach, number 21, and a slew of riders coming up strong. There's Johnson on the inside, number 2. There's Lease, number 7, Holland, number 3. And there's Johnson trying to get around number 23, Tischner, for third. Jeff Ward trying to open up as much of a lead as he can. He knows Johnson's behind him. He knows this man, number 2, is moving up. Johnson in fourth spot trying to get a shot at Tischner. They go up the uphill, and Ward goes down the downhill. Wardy, National Supercross champion number 1, in front. Whoa, look at them drop down and slam into that hard Pontiac ground. Wardy is all serious now. There goes Johnson trying to go in front of Dubach, and he's got Dubach. And suddenly it is Johnson going after Ward. Oh, baby. Hold on. Jeez Louise. Ward in front, as we have seen so many times so far this year, and this man in second. And this is when it gets exciting, because Johnson starts reeling in Ward. Now, Ward normally will finally let Johnson by and then back off and give Johnson the victory. Is it going to be different today at Pontiac? We're about to find out. There's Ward, and there comes Johnson. There is Johnson reeling him in now. Look at the ruts developing. That could be a factor in this race. Johnson coming in on Ward. Ward, he knows now. He's got the signal from his mechanic that Johnson is closing. He's got to open up the lead. And the momentum is carrying away from the rest of the pack. Lachine in third, but he's way, way back. Oh, Johnson almost goes down. That's a surprise. Johnson does not make mistakes. Are we going to see more mistakes from Johnson because he hit the ground? The forks compressed and he almost went down. In fact, a lesser rider would have gone down. Wardy is smooth as silk. This kid has got it together. No mistakes so far. Coming into traffic, there's Johnson right behind him. You can see him. They go down the downhill, setting up that very, very dangerous triple. Wardy, smooth, little wobbling there on the jump. Possibly the ruts. Johnson indicated earlier the ruts are becoming a problem when talking to Larry Myers. There's Wardy. They lap number 16. That's Donnie Schmidt, who was a factor earlier, but now Schmidt is down a full lap. That gives you an idea of how fast these guys are going. Johnson goes to the inside. Here's it pass. No, Ward says no. Over the big jump, Johnson comes back in again, and Ward shuts the door again. This normally doesn't happen. Here's Johnson on the inside. He positions himself perfectly, and Johnson goes in front. Now, will Ward back off as he's done before and let Johnson run away with the race? It doesn't look like it. Jeff Ward is hammering Johnson. Down the downhill. The triple jump. Johnson and Ward. Wardy wobbling a little. Those ruts are starting to be a factor. Look at the crowd wave them on. Ricky Johnson, number 2, starting to pull out a lead now. A little bit of a lead. Is Wardy going to give up the ghost and fall back? He's got to keep the pressure on Johnson. There's a lap rider between them. Wardy, you got to get on the gas. You got to hammer him. And Wardy's mechanic and the team manager there. Oh, and Johnson has gone down. Johnson has gone down out of our sight into the hay bale. And Ward takes the lead. Ladies and gentlemen, mark that down. You don't see that often. Ricky Johnson make a mistake, but he was wobbling earlier and he went down fast. And now it is Jeff Ward's chance to pull away from Johnson. The crowd here in Pontiac are getting their money's worth as Ricky Johnson goes down and gives the lead to Ward. And Ward suddenly has a new lease on life, but look at Johnson come up on him. And now Wardy will try to block Johnson. Johnson slams into the ground again and wobbles. He can't afford to make another mistake. He goes to the inside and goes down again. Whoa, Nelly. Ricky Johnson has crashed twice in a main event, and Jeff Ward is on his way to victory here at Pontiac. Ricky Johnson going after his nemesis, Jeff Ward, and now he's got Ward in sight. Can Ward hold him off, or will Ward fade? Ward has had the lead handed to him twice on a silver platter, and he knows that. What is Ward going to do? Look, Johnson to the inside, almost takes it, and Ward says no. Ward sets up. He's got to go back to the inside for the next jump, and Johnson goes to the outside. They are neck and neck, handlebar to handlebar, Ward and Johnson's got the lead again. For the third time this main event, Ricky Johnson has taken the lead. Will he fall again? Honda is hoping not. Look at Ward. Ward comes back in and forces Johnson into the outside. Ward is suddenly has got the lead and goes into our cameraman. Ward is driven to the outside by Ricky Johnson and goes down. Oh, and Jeff Ward is mad. He is incensed. They tangled, and Ward got the worst of it and went right up into the hay bales, and Ricky Johnson is out in front. And Ward is down about 20 seconds. What a shocker. The white flag out, the final lap. And Johnson is on his way to victory. Starting to style a little bit now. I wouldn't do that, Ricky. You've crashed twice and almost went down a third time when you tangled with Ward. Jeff Ward in second spot, very unhappy about that. He's ahead of Lachine, his teammate, for second. But he wanted to win this one at Pontiac. And instead, it's going to go to this one if he can hold on for about another 15 seconds. Ricky Johnson, Team Honda. Look at the fans and the field people wave on Johnson. He's got it. Ricky Johnson takes the victory after crashing twice and putting Ward in the hay bales. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Motorcycle Demolition Derby. So the final results at Pontiac. Ricky Johnson takes it again for Honda. Ward in second. Lachine will settle for third. Eric Kehoe fourth. And Doug Dubach, the Yamaha privateer, in fifth. In sixth spot, Tishner, then Glover, then George Holland, Mike Fisher, and Jeff Matasevich rounds out the top 10. From the home of the Dallas Cowboys, Texas Stadium, this is round 7 of the Coors AMA Supercross Series. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman. The question here, in front of an almost sellout crowd at Texas Stadium, is can Ricky Johnson be stopped? He swept both races last week at the Pontiac Silverdome, and tonight Jeff Ward and Lachine are going to try to take him out. Let's take a look at the action. This could be a good main event. They move into the starting dock. Number 9, Eric Kehoe. There's number 1, Jeff Ward. Number 15 coming up there. That's Michael Fisher. Then number 3, George Holland. Number 21, Dubach, the Yamaha rider from Costa Mesa, California. This is the main event from the Texas Stadium. Leading forward to the bikes. Number 1, number 2, number 4, number 3 on the line. And there they go. Looking up. The horsepower unleashed as they fly down the straightaway. And it is Wardy and number 7, Lease, taking the lead. Wardy goes to the inside, takes it away from Lease. Number 44, Glover, is in second. Wardy in front, Glover second. There's number 23, that's Tischner trying to move up. There, and Tischner goes down and takes Brooks with him, number 14. 23, Tischner went down and Brooks is down with him. And there's number 1. Jeff Ward in front and Glover in second. Johnson is back in mid-pack and moving up. Here comes Wardy, Glover to the inside. Glover tries to go to the inside and Ward says no. Through the tunnel. Wardy and Glover battling for the lead here in front of a big crowd at Texas Stadium. Number 7, Lease, is in third. And Johnson is moving up. There's Ricky Johnson. Johnson is up to fourth. Jeff Lease, his teammate, right in front of him, and Ricky wants Lease. He wants to go after Wardy. And the crowd is standing and cheering early in this heat, or in this main event. Jeff Ward, number 1, 44, Glover in second. Lease, number 7 in third, and Johnson moving up. There's Johnson stalking Lease. Lease, the Crocodile Dundee of Supercross, Australian national champion. Switched from Yamaha to Honda the end of last year. And Jeffrey Lease is trying to hold off his teammate, and Johnson goes in and drives Lease to the outside. A classic textbook example of how Ricky Johnson moves past somebody. He gets the wheel to the inside and drives past him on the inside. Invariably, that is how Johnson passes. Here's Johnson to look at him play with Glover. He goes to the outside. Glover is expecting Johnson to go to the inside because that's where Ricky likes to pass. He goes back to the inside, and Glover's on the outside. That's a dangerous place. They're side by side in midair. And Glover comes out on top, and Johnson is frustrated. Normally, another rider would have backed off and let Johnson by, but Glover is not a normal rider. 6-time national champion. He's as big as Johnson and as strong as Johnson. Unfortunately, he's a little older. He's 27 years old. Johnson's about 24, 25. There is Ward, number 1 in front, completely oblivious to the battle behind him. And here is the battle behind him. The Battle of Texas Stadium for second between Glover, number 44, and Johnson, number 2. Johnson loves to stalk the other riders. He's a master at psyching out the other riders, at getting him to luck out right there. A beautiful move. Johnson made Glover think he was going to the outside, then suddenly cut to the inside and went by him like a snake oil salesman of the night. And now they're all alone, and it's Johnson saying, I got you in my sights, Wardy, and I want you. He puts the pressure on, and nobody can do it like Johnson can. How would you like to be in Wardy's shoes with Johnson behind him? Let's see if Johnson goes to the inside. He does. Wardy blocks him, and Johnson comes back again, and Wardy slows way down and forces Johnson to slow down. Beautiful move by Jeff Ward. Wardy is tough to pass. Sometimes Johnson makes it look easy, though, when he does pass him. Right now, Ricky is all of the track, looking for a spot to move by Wardy. The crowd intently watching this battle as they come up to lap Mike Fisher. Wardy number 1 on the green Kawasaki, Johnson number 2 on the blood red Honda. Jeff Ward, excellent young rider, and nobody is in better physical shape than Wardy. Make no mistake about that. Over the long, long doubles. Into the whoops, skimming that front wheel across the whoops, getting the power of the ground. Wardy shifts in midair. A couple of ruts developing, but not many on this track. Look at the people on the floor wave on Ward or Johnson, depending on who they're cheering for. Again, Ricky, exactly what he was doing before, to the extreme outside, Wardy to the inside, clips a hay bale, doesn't slow Wardy down. Now Johnson moves up on him. Johnson to the inside, exactly what he did before, and Wardy lets him by. Oh, frustration. But now Wardy is coming back. Will he fade? That's the question. Will Jeff Ward back off now? That's what he's done before, but it doesn't look that way. It looks like Ward is going to give him a race. Ward goes to the inside for a second. He had the lead, but Johnson launches himself over the double. You don't see Johnson showboating. That's because Ward is keeping the pressure on. Johnson has got a pennant stuck on the left foot peg of his bike. Shows how close he's coming to the outside, to the hay bales. There's your leader, number 2, Johnson, number 1, Ward in second. And that's what the crowd is watching here at Texas Stadium. Wardy at this point normally fades off the pace and settles for second, but he's not doing that now. He's putting the pressure on Johnson. That's what he's got to do. You can't let Johnson get that far out in front because Ricky will just stay out in front, showboat to the crowd, and hold on to that lead. The mechanics, the pit board, signaling the riders as they go by. Mechanic circle. Johnson, number 2, knows he is getting close to the end of this race, but Wardy goes to the inside and almost gets out in front again. Ward is keeping Johnson honest. Now, Johnson's starting to pull away. Is Wardy going to back off and let him go? Let's see what happens here at Texas Stadium. Single line through the... Nope, Wardy comes back. Johnson and Ward in a classic battle at Texas Stadium. Ricky Johnson, number 2, Ward, number 1, and Ward now going to the inside, trying to reel him in. They head through the tunnel. And Wardy is sticking on his back tire like a Krishna on an airport traveler. A lapped rider in front, number 29, Ray Somo, and that slows Johnson down just a little bit. And Wardy's got to capitalize on things like that. He's got to capitalize on breaks like that when Johnson is stymied by a slower rider, by a lapped rider. Johnson goes up against the hay bales, wobbling a little bit, feeling the pressure of Ward. Now, Johnson's starting to pull away on the part of the track. He starts to pull in, and here comes Wardy back again. No showboating by Ricky. He's not waving to the crowd now. There's one single line through that turn, that rut, and Johnson takes it every time. Here comes Ward, skimming the rear wheel over those hoops like poetry in motion. Two-wheel poetry here at Texas Stadium. Suspension and the arms take a tremendous beating on a track like this, a hard, packed track like this. It is like Texas granite. Finish line jump, looking for the white flag, and there it is. And now, can Wardy reel in Johnson? Johnson wobbling a little bit. I don't know if he's getting tired or feeling the pressure. He looks behind him. You don't see Johnson do that. And Ward comes up behind him. And the crowd is responding. They're cheering their heroes on. Normally, Johnson has pulled away to an 8 or 9 second lead, and Wardy says, not this time, big guy. And Ricky Johnson is feeling the pressure. It's Ward's turn to put the pressure on Johnson. Wardy is right on his back tire. The final lap at Texas Stadium, a big crowd, and Wardy is trying to pull it off. So Johnson has got to block Ward. Ward to the inside. Gets his wheel up next to Johnson. Look at this, look at this. Through the tunnel. Johnson shuts the door, and Ward is on him like a bloodhound. Johnson goes to the inside. Wardy goes back to the inside and runs into Johnson. And Johnson stays upright and he wins it. Ricky Johnson by about a foot. Johnson takes it. Oh, an incredible battle. Ward deserves all the accolades for second. Lachine third. Jeff Leask fourth. And George Holland also on the Honda in fifth spot.
This is Larry Huffman welcoming you back at Tampa Stadium, and we're ready now for the main event of the 250 class of racing. Here we go, ready for the main. They lean forward, look at the crowd, and here we go. The gate drops, and they are off, and it is going to be Lachine. Looks like Lachine and the Kawasaki taking the lead. No, it is Wardy. It was a Kawasaki. We thought it was Lachine, but it's Jeff Ward in front. One rider down. We didn't get his number. But Jeff Ward, who's done so well this year in Supercross at Houston, is going to try to win it here at Tampa. And it looks like Matasevich, his teammate, coming up in second. That's Matasevich. Then number 9, that is Keogh in third. The green flag out, the race is on.
Jeff Ward in front, Matasevich serving as a buffer in second spot. And then number 2, Johnson is broken to third. And Johnson is riding like a man possessed in third. And he's going to try to reel in Matasevich. There's Wardy, and there's Matasevich in midair also. And Johnson coming up behind him. Now Matasevich, if he can, will try to block Johnson for Wardy, but I don't know if Matasevich has got the experience. He doesn't. We found that out real fast. Johnson goes by him like a snake oil salesman tonight. So it is Wardy in front, Johnson running second. The great battle in Supercross this year. And for the past couple of years, nobody else has been in these guys' league. Nobody's even been close. A couple of flashes of brilliance, but it is Ricky Johnson in second spot trying to reel in Jeff Ward. Now this is where Johnson has prevailed, because Wardy will try to reel him in and then back off and seemingly lose interest. The only rider in the world who can keep Johnson in sight is Wardy when Wardy wants to. But Wardy is riding very strong now. And he's down again! I can't believe this. Ricky Johnson didn't even touch him. He wasn't within 3 feet of him, and Wardy went down. And Johnson's looking around saying, what happened? Let's take a look back and see if we can figure out what happened. You're watching us to get hints on how to ride. We're showing you how not to crash, or how to crash, rather. Here's Wardy. That's Johnson on the right. Gets a little bit wild. The suspension working extremely strong. Now here goes to the inside. A little different camera angle now on Wardy. And if he can get that power to the ground, he's going to pass Johnson. But nope, the rear wheel just simply slides out. This hard North Florida clay-type substance takes its toll again, and Wardy is down. Hits the deck faster than a Mike Tyson opponent. And Wardy, look at that, keeps the engine running, but it gives Johnson a tremendous lead. There's Keogh. The main event here at Tampa. Larry Huffman calling the action. A rather uneventful race since Wardy fell twice. Here's Johnson through the whoops, heading for the checkered flag. Can he hold on? How close is Wardy? Well, Wardy's moving up, but not really that much of a factor yet. Of course, there's traffic, and traffic can always be a problem. There's Frank being lapped by Johnson. Frank was running up there in the top 5 earlier. Something happened. Something went wrong. There's Ricky. Where's Wardy? These are all lapped riders we're watching. Johnson has gone across the finish line jump. There's Wardy in second spot, and quite a ways back, too. In the waning moments of this 250 Supercross Championship, the event here at Tampa Stadium. White flag, 1 lap to go, and Johnson breathes a sigh of relief. Let's watch and see if we can see Wardy. Now he's way, way back. Nope, still no sign of Ward. There he is. He's got about 5 lap riders between him and Johnson, and Jeff knows right now the only way he's going to stop Ricky Johnson is with a gun. So Wardy will pick up second place tonight if it goes another lap like this. Johnson will take the victory. Let's see if Johnson gets a little crazy over the jumps here in the final lap. Here's Wardy, number 1. Johnson is way out in front, number 2. And there it is. Nope, 1 hand off the bars, and Ricky wins it. Welcome to the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, home of the New York Giants. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Huffman, and welcome to Round 9 of the 1988 Coors Supercross season. There'll be no passes thrown here tonight at Giant Stadium, but hopefully a lot of passing as Ricky Johnson tries to claim and cement the 1988 Supercross season championship. Welcome back to the Meadowlands, Giant Stadium, and we are ready for the main event. This man, Ricky Johnson, is ready to prove he's number 1 this year. Earlier, I was out in the pits to find out if Ricky can be beaten tonight, and these are some of the riders that I talked to. This is on the line tonight. Jeff Ward trying to hold on to that number 1 plate. 15-point lead Johnson has over Ward going in the night. I guess I hate to ask this question, but can he be stopped tonight?
Well, I think so, Larry. I've been riding really aggressively. I feel really well, and if I want to win the championship, I have to. I can't rely on him having any problems. I got to go out and just, make my own destiny, win the race, and then wherever he falls, falls. And 15 points is a lot to make up with 2 races left, and with the competition the way it is, we're getting first and second, so there's not much of a gap there to make points up.
Can Johnson be stopped?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody's beatable, and I think sooner or later, all the riders out there are going to get sick and tired of getting beaten by him every weekend, and I think he's beatable, and I wouldn't be out here if he wasn't.
We've asked the question every race, can Johnson be stopped? Now tonight, it's for the championship. He could wrap up the championship tonight. Do you think Johnson can be stopped?
I think he can be stopped. It's going to take a lot of good riding by myself and Jeff Ward, and maybe a mishap or some bad luck on Rick's part. He's got a pretty good lead, and I'm sure he'll be riding real smart. And for Team Kawasaki, I hope he does get stopped.
You're moving up to the 250 bikes. Can you stop Johnson, or who will be able to stop Johnson?
I think there's a number of young up-and-coming riders. One hopefully is myself. That'll be able to stop him here in the near future. He's been winning a lot of races for the past 3 years, but you can only stay on top for so long, and I think it's time for someone else to be on top.
Somebody hungry.
Yeah, this year's been really coming along really good for me, and I hope to take Johnson's place here next year, maybe.
Can Johnson be stopped?
I'm not really sure. I think if he gets a bad start and say a couple of the fast guys get out, maybe, but I think if he gets a good start and in 20 laps in a main event, I think he's going to be pretty hard to be beat.
The question is, can you be stopped tonight? How do you feel? This is it. This is for all the marbles tonight. You can win the championship.
Well, I don't think it's possible for me to win the championship, but it's definitely possible for me to make 3 more points on Jeff Ward. So my attitude going into this race is just to win. I won here last year, but I lost my championship. So as far as the people know, I was a Supercross champion, and they'll be cheering for me, at least my fans. So I'm looking forward to it.
So the stage is set for the main event here at the Meadowlands Supercross in New Jersey. The riders to watch: Holland looked good in his heat. Brock Glover, Jeffrey Lease, Jeff Matasevich, Ricky Johnson, and Ron the Machine. And here we go. The key drops. They rocket down the line. The best riders in the world. Looks to be Holland in the middle of the pack, taking the lead. It is Holland in front. Duboc now goes to the outside. And Holland comes back and goes out in front, launching himself over the jump. George Holland, Team Honda, out in front. A couple riders look to have a problem with the hay bale back there in the middle of the pack. Now the field stretching out. Here is Holland. There's Duboc. But it is George Holland's race at this point. Anything can happen in the main. Wardy did not start. Through the tunnel, Duboc right on the back tire on that privateer Yamaha support ride. Lachine back in the middle of the pack, and where is Johnson? That's the question. Where is Ricky Johnson? Traditionally not a good starter. Holland has seemed to got a new lease on life after his battle earlier with Ward in the heat race. And he's setting a very strong pace. Duboc going wide on the turn, but it's Holland out in front. Notice, no theatrics, no showboating by Holland. He's serious. He wants to win his first Supercross ever. There's Johnson in 4th spot, number 2. And there's Lachine on the inside. And Lachine goes to the inside on a beautiful pass, and Holland comes back. It is Holland and Lachine over the jump. Side by side, handlebar to handlebar. Lachine stops Holland, and Johnson goes by in a second. Whoa, Nelly! It is Lachine in front, Kawasaki, and Johnson on his back tire. And Holland is running third, and suddenly the cast has changed, and it's Lachine on the green Kawasaki in front with Johnson on his back tire. Lachine went by Holland, slicker than a mayonnaise sandwich. Beautiful pass. And now it is Johnson's turn to stalk Lachine. But Johnson goes by. Lachine goes back in front. Johnson trying to go by on the outside. Lachine blocked him beautifully. And Lachine goes down. And that's what happens when somebody like Ricky Johnson puts some pressure on you. Lachine went down faster than anybody I've seen in Supercross. The front wheel washed out, and he slammed into the ground. And it is Ricky Johnson in front. The main event at the Meadowlands Supercross, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Ricky Johnson in front. Is that the way it's going to end? There's Lachine. Let's take a look back at that crash of Lachine. Feeling the pressure of Johnson, the front wheel starts going down. He tries to save it, and the back wheel then slides out, and Lachine is down. He's down faster than a Mike Tyson opponent. So Ricky Johnson in front here, the Meadowlands, number 2. There's Holland now trying to move up into 2nd spot. Looking strong, Holland in 2nd spot. He is chasing his teammate Ricky Johnson. But right now it's Ricky Johnson's race here. Whoa! Wait a minute! Johnson faltered there, and Holland comes up behind him. What happened to Johnson? He didn't go down, but he stalled the bike. And Holland is going to take the lead. As the Honda mechanics are pulling their hair off, they got their two superstars battling each other. And Holland almost tries to stuff Johnson in the tunnel. Wait a minute here, folks. Holland is in front and Johnson's saying this is not supposed to happen. And remember that Holland is riding with a badly injured shoulder, and he's right in the middle of contention for that 125 national title, as Myers told you earlier. Johnson moves Holland to the outside and goes by him. Johnson in front, but Holland is dogging him, putting the pressure on Ricky Johnson. And Johnson's not used to this, especially from his teaming. Now Johnson starts to pull away. Holland inside. Matazovic, a good young rider. I believe he's 18 years old now, just turned 18, and he's got the pressure of Jeff Leask behind him, the young Australian national champion. There goes Leask. He's got Matazovic. So Leask has gone to third, Matazovic fourth, and here's Johnny O'Mara. O'Mara goes in front of Matazovic, and suddenly Matazovic goes from third to fifth. Ricky Johnson, number 2, way out in front. George Holland in second spot. And now it's wide open for Honda as Leask goes into third. It is a Honda 1-2-3 freight train. There's Holland in second spot. Holland will not showboat like Johnson will. Johnson going for the checkered flag here tonight at the Meadowlands. Whoa, sideways, feet off the pegs, waving to the crowd. He's got to keep in mind what happened to Jeff Ward in his race. Jeff was not showboating. He landed hard. There's a no-hand on the jump. Very few people in the world can do this. Don't try it unless you're a pro of the caliber of Ricky Johnson or Jeff Ward. Holland is tough to pass. Look, Johnson almost waddles down, goes down there. You can get awfully cocky and awfully confident in a race when you're this far out in front. But we've seen it happen before. A rider can go down fast. The checkered flag comes out and Johnson takes it from Meadowlands. It's going to be a sweep. Holland second for Honda. Holland takes it. A very strong win for the young man from Kerman, California. And Leask is third. Ricky Johnson wins the Meadowlands Supercross. Let's go down to the field as soon as we give you the results. Ricky Johnson, George Holland, Jeff Leask, Johnny O'Mara, and Jeff Chicken Matazovic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Feeling the tension.
there you go.
The wire.
Democus going higher and higher and higher.
20 feet high.
And this is difficult. Look at this. Look at this. There's a high camera eye view of Democus. 20 feet. He did the welding on those giant supports himself. He's a good machinist, Democus is. He knows a lot about welding. He's built a lot of his own equipment. Okay, getting higher and higher and higher. Look at there. There's from the ground. That's like you're riding a three-wheeler that high. He has made it to the top. Look at the crowd. Look at him watching. The flash bulbs go off. Now, on the top, balancing. The incredible sense of balance this young man has. 31 years old, living in Southern California now. And he stops to balance the ATV atop, 20 feet in the air. I don't believe this. Look at this.
Back and forth. Rocking back and forth. Down.
Now, making his way across and then down. Look at this. The crowd seeing it for the first time anywhere in the world. One mistake, those rear tires move over 4 inches. He is falling with an ATV on top of him, all the way to the ground. Now, down the other side. Unbelievable. Doug Democus does it. The crowd loves it. Look at this. Well, that concludes our final chapter in the history of Supercross with a complete look at the 1988 Supercross racing season. Now, I sincerely hope you've enjoyed our series documenting this story of Supercross from 1975 through 1988, as much as we've enjoyed sharing it with you. Now, we'll keep searching for those Supercross legends, those men who've taught us so much about overcoming fear and staying committed to excellence, about being true American originals, and to keep striving to be the best we can be. I'm your host, Larry Huffman, reminding you that there's always time for the ride of your life on 2 wheels.
In 1985, I attended my first Supercross race at the Los Angeles Coliseum. I still remember the first time I experienced this exciting sport. The huge crowds, many times over 90,000 in attendance. The determined, totally dedicated humility of the riders that would race for just a few $1,000s. I remember the huge number of people that got the trackside pass. We got to stand right next to the track as the racers buzzed by. I remember the electric feeling when 20 motocross bikes zipped past me. On a good night, I would be 6 feet from the racers. I remember the fear I felt when thinking that if one of these guys happened to go off the track, what would happen? There was an innocence about the sport and a feeling that we were witnessing history in the making. Having an inside line on the sport was exciting too. Learning about how Mike Goodwin's company, Stadium Motorsports Corporation, was struggling to explode the sport, it was actually fascinating. Even though the stadiums were selling out and huge amounts of cash were being collected, every race presented a mountain of challenges. Big money, big profits, big expenses, and lots of cash to pull off just one race. It didn't help that Goodwin's original partner, Mickey Thompson, and he had a falling out. And then, of course, the tragic murder of legendary Mickey Thompson happened after the breakup. Thompson's murder is still unresolved. One of the biggest struggles for Goodwin was getting adequate TV exposure and selling sponsors to cover the huge costs to pull off just one Stadium Supercross event. This next segment, called The Hottest Marketing Tool, is a historic look at Stadium Motorsports Corporation's original marketing film that was designed to be used as a sales tool to literally sell Supercross to potential sponsors. This film has never been released to the public, and it was originally intended to be an inside sales tool. Goodwin spent thousands of dollars interviewing Supercross race attendees to compile the demographic information that was used to produce this sales marketing video. The statistics outlined in this film, even to this day, are engaging at least. After the hottest marketing tools, we've included an original Supercross TV commercial, a local TV show that was airing in San Diego in 1980, which features some interesting interviews with Bob Hanna and Chuck Sun, who were hired by Goodwin to appear on the show to help promote the 1980 San Diego Supercross. Without further delay, please enjoy the film that helped Mike Goodwin sell millions of dollars in sponsorships, which gave him a cutting edge in the race to conquer and control Supercross in those early years. Check out SMC's The Hottest Marketing Tool.
Saturday night, July 24th, this flag starts the most exciting, spectacular event of the year. The only Super Bowl of motocross. The best riders in the world, the race of the century. See this epic battle. Fast action will hold you spellbound. Champion motocross gladiators in a show never seen since the early days of Rome. Fearless champions charge through the Coliseum at breakneck speed. Climb the Devil's Path, hurdle down the frightening ski jump to land 150 feet below. This course is one of the toughest in the world. It's the international race of the century. Don't miss it. It's available at Ticketron, Honda dealers, and at the gate.
It's time now for Racing World with Jim Bruce. Racing World is brought to you by Molly Maid, the oil additive that really works. Automatic transmission service just off Highway 5 on India Street near the airport. Cajon Speedway in El Cajon and Speedway 117 in Chula Vista. And now, here's Jim.
Hello there, and thank you for joining us again here on Racing World. Tonight we're going to be talking motocross, and boy, it's a big show coming up this weekend right here in San Diego at the San Diego Stadium. And we'll be talking with two of the hot dogs that you're going to be seeing down there, Bob Hurricane Hanna, and Bob's going to be riding a Yamaha coming up this Saturday night, and also we'll talk with Chuck Sun, and Chuck's going to be up on a big Honda down there at the stadium in that motocross action. We'll look at some film of that, and we'll talk with these gentlemen about how they're going to make out. We'll have a filmed look at the results from Speedway 117 last Saturday night, and we'll run down all the other racing results for you, but first let's check the racing coming up. Saturday night, the AMA-sanctioned $500,000 Supercross Series moves to San Diego Stadium for their motocross finals. Now, it's the first time the All-Star riders have appeared in the stadium on a man-made course of dirt hauled in especially for the racing. We'll talk about the big two-day show with our guests tonight on Racing World. We just told you who they were, and we'll get with them a little later. The exotic Can-Am racers of the Sports Car Club of America will race their final 1980 event Sunday at Riverside Raceway on the 2.5-mile 8-turn road course. The 50-lap race for the big cars will start at 3 p.m. Sunday with preliminary racing events starting at 8 a.m. with a foot race. How about that? Then a roller skating event at 10:15. There's some sports car racing at 11:15, and then a bicycle race at noon. Super V racers and VW Rabbits will also race before the big Can-Am cars take to the track. On Saturday, the SCCA Trans Am Corvettes, Mustangs, and Porsches will be featured in a 49-lapper at 2:30 p.m. Well, it looks like a full weekend of racing at Riverside this weekend. The first car race is at 11 a.m. on Saturday. And the Phoenix Western Sprint Car Open starts tonight, a 4-day session on the Manzanita half-mile dirt track. The Open champion will be crowned when he wins the Rich feature race coming up on Saturday night. Ascot will host the USAC Midgets with a 50-lap main event on Saturday night. That'll top the program. The Craig Road Speedway near Las Vegas holds their annual 2-day open competition stock car show with the feature race on Sunday afternoon. And finally, the Kart Indy cars will race on Sunday in Mexico City. And that's all the racing coming up. Now let's take a check of the results from last weekend. Three-time Indy winner Al Unser took his first 1980 Can-Am ride Sunday at Laguna Seca and finished 2 seconds ahead of Formula One driver Kiki Rosberg from Finland. Elliott Forbes Robinson was third. Unser averaged 108.7 miles per hour on the twisting road course. Over 7,000 fans watched Jim Thurkettle win the first of two 100-lap open competition superstock races at Bakersfield on Saturday night. Thurkettle started 15th and finished ahead of Jimmy Inslow in the San Diego-based Trick Camaro. Steve Burgess from Wisconsin was in there for third. Well, Burgess came back to win the second 100-lapper with Inslow again in there for second. Lakeside's Larry Hageman qualified 9th fastest of the 94-car field. His best finish was a 12th in the first race. And 1978 champion Ron Esau, Cajon champion that is, he had an 8th in the first race and didn't finish in the second one. Well, there was plenty of action, as usual, at Speedway 117 when the limited stock cars started their 20-lap main event. Larry Dwiggins, his 6-car move past that mess, and champion Steve Beck got squeezed in that one. Well, when the racing resumed, Don Hicks' 39 car had the lead with Beck trying to make up some time. Well, Beck met with the disaster in the third and fourth turn there, and his car needed some minor body adjustments here. Larry Dwiggins of Santee led the final laps to win the 20-lap feature. Chuck Ekus was second, and Don Hicks was in there for third. 24 cars started the 30-lap Superstock main event on the half-mile dirt. When the field strung out after the first lap, Rick Becker's 67 car was out front, and Vince Gianformaggio in the 50 car was hot on his trail. Young Jim Neal then joined in the fun in his red 61 car and fought Vince for a few laps before moving out for the lead. Gianformaggio kept up the chase following Neal through the traffic. Ex-IndyCar driver Bill Cheeseburg in the borrowed 54 car was also moving up in the field. A scuffle in the fourth turn bunched up the cars near the end, but Jim Neal was able to power his Camaro out front again, taking the checkered flag ahead of second place Vince Gianformaggio. Neal storms down the backstretch, and Jim Powell was in there for third, and Bill Cheeseburg fourth. Well, Jim Neal from Huntington Beach is the 1980 champion of the Grand American NASCAR Series, and he added one more to his string there on Saturday night. Cajon drivers Tex Kimbrell and Jerry Gay finished 12th and 15th in the main event. 133 cars were on hand for Don Basile's big show that wound up with a 33-car destruction derby that was won by Richard Eckert. Well, Cale Yarborough led 5 different times for a total of 167 laps Sunday to win the American 500 at Rockingham, North Carolina. The 3-time NASCAR champion moved closer to the point leader Dale Earnhardt, who has led most of the season. 2 races remain on the 1980 schedule. Yarborough was only 3.6 seconds ahead of Harry Gant at the finish of Sunday's race, with Earnhardt coming in a disappointing 18th. Well, 44 points are all that separate now the two top drivers for the 1980 NASCAR Championship, and there's 2 races coming up, the finale, of course, being at Ontario Motor Speedway on November 15th. 64 sprint cars were on hand Saturday night at Ascot for CRA racing on the half-mile dirt track there. Arizona's Ron Schumann won the 30-lap feature after passing Dwayne Faduska in the 25-lap main event. Faduska was second, and Bubby Jones was third in that one before 5,100 fans. Mike Robinson of Spring Valley flipped his racer in the 3rd turn on the 5th lap of the semi. Robinson was okay, but his racer was heavily damaged. John Redican was the semi winner. And Shirley Muldowney won her 2nd World Top Fuel Championship at Ontario Motor Speedway on Sunday. She collected $25,000 for the championship and $20,000 for Sunday's win over Frank Bradley in the final run. Shirley recorded a 5.95-second, 241-mile-per-hour run down the quarter-mile track up there at Ontario. Raymond Beadle of Dallas, Texas, won the Funny Car World Championship, even though he was defeated in Sunday's final run. Ron Colson of Bensonville, Illinois, beat Beadle with a 6.28-second, 230-mile-per-hour run. Bob Glidden won the Pro Stock class in a Fairmont, and he also clinched the 1980 championship just ahead of Lee Shepard. Larry Phillips of Springfield, Missouri, picked up the winner's $3,000 in Sunday night Stock Car Products 100 at Ascot. Former Cajon driver Odie Robertson took second. Dan Simpkins won the 25-lap B main before nearly 2,500 fans. And here's a date you might want to mark down. Don Basile will hold the first annual Southwestern three-wheel and Odyssey Nationals at Speedway 117 in Chula Vista on November the 1st and 2nd. The big two-day show will also feature go-karts and many special events, including a barbecue and a big dance right after the racing on Saturday night. And if you'd like to try your hand at some sand drag racing, here's bracket racing on the weekend at Glamis International Sandway. Their qualifying will be on Saturday and racing will be at 12 noon on Sunday. And that's all the latest racing news. We'll be back with our special guest this evening on Racing World right after this word. Well, we told you earlier about the big super motocross that's coming up this weekend at San Diego Stadium, and we have a couple of guys with us here that are going to be putting on the show down there. Bob Hurricane Hanna, Bob, and Bob will be riding a Yamaha, and we're talking also with Chuck's son here who will be aboard a Honda. So you guys now, what do you look for at San Diego Stadium? Is this track going to be rougher than usual, or do you kind of look at it as being kind of easy for you, Bob?
No, none of them are easy. They're all different. We go to about 12 or 13 different ones a year. You never know what to look forward to at the next one.
It's a little different than each time the way they lay out the course.
Sure, some of them go into the stands and some of them don't. And the ground's always different. We might have a hard packed ground or a real soft sand or a combination of both. And
now, how do you figure that out then? You do that on the practice day. This is how it's going to be. Huh?
Sure, and over the years you've ridden in everything there is to ride in, mud and sand, and you better be accustomed to it and better be able to jump into the race and know it in 4 or 5 minutes. You have to know what kind of ground you're riding in and how to take it.
Chuck, when's the first time you're going to see the course down there now?
I'll be able to see it tomorrow. They're going to have the track open for some of the riders to be able to check the track out and see if the jumps they have set up are going to be sufficient for the race. And
now, after you as riders kind of check it out, can they move a few things around for you?
yeah, maybe a corner that they set up just doesn't really seem to be feasible, and it's too narrow. A lot of problems they have sometimes is the stadiums are really restricted for room, so they sometimes they just develop one lines so they can change the track so there's more passing, which is better racing.
Bob, you've been out of action for a little bit now with a little problem with your leg, and how is that when you lay off for a while now and get back to riding? This motocross sport depends so much timing, and you know that so much better than I. You ought to tell us about that.
It takes a while to get going again. I was off a bike for over a year, and it's been taking me a little while. I didn't think I was ready in the last few races I did do, and I'll be getting there. It'll be a few more months before I was as good as I was, I think. And everybody else will have a chance to
catch
jump
up,
and it makes it hard.
And Chuck, We always hear about the start of a motocross as being one of the roughest parts. Now, does everybody have a little trick on how to get the jump at the start?
Well, it's definitely really important, especially in a stadium race, to get a good start, because it can be difficult to pass and you're restricted for time. It's only 25 minutes instead of outdoor motocross, you got 45 minutes. But I like to just remain really calm and don't get too excited, because you get too excited and you got too many things going on. So you just remain calm and you observe the gate as it falls, and you try to time it a little bit so you're moving when the gate falls. But if you hit the gate, the type of gates they have will hold you. You got to pull back and then you go. So you really hurt if you hit that gate.
So Bob, you could lose a lot of time then if you're not really starting just right on.
Oh, you could lose the race right there on the start. If you get in the top 5 in the stadium, and you're really riding good, you have a chance of winning that night. If you don't, you'd have to be you have some luck and really have some things going for you to win the race.
What's the best place to pass another rider? And is there any particular place on the track that would be?
No, everywhere. Every rider has his special little spots on the track, but going into the corner and coming out of the corner is driving in a little harder or get on it a little sooner than the other guy. And
well, now we have some film that you guys brought along with you here of some motocross racing, actually, and in a short race like you say, Chuck, you have to go all out. There's no hanging back and let's wait till we get strung out a little or anything like that. You got to go, I guess.
Yeah, there's not much pacing involved indoor. You got to move, and if you're not getting the guy in front of you, there's somebody nipping your heels that wants around really bad. So.
Well, here we can see the start of this thing. It's kind of like a herd of cattle going into that little chute, I guess, there.
Yeah, it really gets tight in that first turn. And you really want to get straightened out and out of traffic when you start hitting the jumps.
Well, now, do you get bumped up against there, Bob, in a start? Do you actually touch?
Oh, you touch, and sometimes a little more than you want to. You might. I've seen that where 25 riders are going in the first corner, 15 will be on the ground.
Boy.
And not just like dominoes, you just fly over.
Well, now, what's the danger in that? You guys are going pretty fast here. That's not just sitting still.
Usually the crashes don't happen when you're really moving fast because of the momentum that keeps you straight up and down. But a lot of times in the first turn, one guy will get a little sideways and he'll get cut off by another rider, and then, like Bob was saying, it's just dominoes from there on.
Now, where all has this series run, the stadium? I know the LA Coliseum, and I think the Houston Astrodome.
Go ahead.
You have some other Coliseums?
We started the series in February in Seattle, Oakland. We go to Atlanta, Daytona, the Silverdome in Michigan. And
now, all these are indoor races?
All those are indoors.
Some of them are a little more indoors than others. Some of them have roofs, like San Diego doesn't. And if it rains, it'll be a big mud race. So I say you have to be ready for anything.
Does mud give you a problem on those, Bob? You've ridden to Riverside too. I think you ran up there in the off-road races at one year, and there's some mud holes in there that just won't quit.
You have to be able to ride everything. Like I said, there'll be 4 or 5 different types of ground, and if you're not good in them all, you're giving away an advantage when the dude comes to a mud race. Maybe Chuck's from Oregon, he's good in the mud. So the Southern California guys have a disadvantage.
And they're better in the sand, though.
Right, they might be better on the hard pack, and then the guys from Florida will be better in the sand, so it takes a little practice.
Well, now, there was a time when American riders were they just couldn't handle motocross with the Europeans. Do you think that gap's closed now, Chuck?
It's definitely closed. Like in the past, the Europeans came over, they introduced the sport of motocross to the Americans, and they were just so far ahead. And they just come over here and play around and just easily beat the Americans. But nowadays, it's a lot different. They can't just go and win. This year, an American won the U.S. Grand Prix for the first time, and it's getting really tough for the Europeans to beat the Americans.
Now, who are, Bob, some of the top riders that you go up against down here? Marty Tripes, I know, one of the local riders, is going to be there, and he's always tough.
Tripes is a local guy. Brock Glover's the local San Diego, El Cajon area. Mike Bell is Supercross champion this year. Marty Smith, San Diego rider. A lot of San Diego riders will be in it.
Now, do you go in there? You go in there expecting to win, of course, don't you? Bob Hanna's going to win. You almost have to do that, don't you, to be competitive in a short race like this?
It's good to think that way, but I go in there thinking a little different. I go in there, if I'm ready, I'll win. If I'm not, I won't.
How about you, Chuck? How do you mentally get up for a race like this?
Well, I don't feel like I have to get up for a race anymore. It just takes too much energy. You know, I like to be able to do it and race well as I am without having to manufacture any funny emotions. That way I'm more consistent and I'm always in there. I'm always in the hunt. And I try to do the best I can with whatever situation arises. If I get a good start, chances are I could come in for a win. If I get a bad start, I don't complain. I just work with what I have to work with at the time.
Now, how important is the machine here? Are we talking racing about man and machine? How important is the machine in motocross racing?
It's really important. I don't know what I could say for a percentage, but the main thing is you have to ride it. But part of motocross is the rider going out and doing a lot of testing. Like, we'll see the track. Okay, it's a sand track. We need a certain kind of tire. Or it's a hard track. We need another type of tire. The weather is warm. We got to change the jetting and this and that. So it's very important, because if you set up your jetting wrong, it's going to maybe stick on you. It's going to seize and you won't even finish. And you got to have your suspension set up right in order to take the jumps. And each track is different.
Bob, as far as riding, these are 250cc now bikes you guys are going to ride down here. Now, you've ridden 500s also. What's the difference in those, as far as handling those bikes are concerned?
Oh, one will be a little 500, will be a little heavier, and a little more power. It'll have a little different.
But you can get your 250 around faster, can't you, around a course like we're going to see at San Diego Stadium?
Yeah, you have quite a bit of power. You know, you have adequate power, but the bike's so light, it's really maneuver through the corners real well. The 500 class takes a little bit different riding style. You know, you have to think a little more and plan to turn. And
I see.
Don't get on the power too radical, because it's a lot of horsepower there. 40, 50 horsepower will throw you on your head. You know?
Well, if you just joined us, we're talking with Bob Hanna and Chuck Sun. These guys will be running at San Diego Stadium this weekend, and the big Super Motocross coming up down there. We'll talk more with them right after this word from our sponsors. Chuck, we were talking about 500cc bikes with Bob just a minute ago, and we find out you're the national champion in that series. So that you must know how they handle that. You must see a little difference there, and ride both of them with the same amount of skill.
Right. Like what Bob was saying, they got a lot more horsepower, and it really requires a lot of throttle control. You know, you got to roll it on very carefully, and it's a different technique. I was 500 national champion outdoors, so you got a lot more room to work with. So 250 is very appropriate for the indoors, because you can.
That's probably the optimum bike for that.
Definitely, you can get going really fast on a 250, and you can do some pretty wild things without getting into trouble, because they're so light and you can throw them around pretty easy.
Now, looking at the film that we just looked at, is there any place on the course there that's roughest on the rider? We see you bouncing around. It looks all rough to me, but it looks to the roughest looks to me like those ones that just like this, where you go up and come right back down again a couple of times in a row, Bob.
You've got little ones about from 2 feet to 3 or 4 feet high that you have to time. There might be 12 or 13 of them in a row. And you can try to take 2 or 3 at a time to gain a little time on the other guy.
2 or 3 at a time. You fly over them then, huh?
You fly over them, and if you hit them wrong, then sometimes you jump off.
When you feel the bike getting away from you, what do you do? Is there any trick you got there? Or you just go with it?
Oh, everybody does a little different, but most of the time, if you turn the throttle on, give it some power, it'll straighten you up. But if you're too afraid, then you'll shut off, and maybe crash.
And then you go down. How about that, Chuck? Do you look at crashing as part of this game, or you try to avoid that, I'm sure, but...
Definitely try to avoid it. I think when you start getting into trouble is maybe you're a little too tight, a little too tense. You have to really be relaxed on the bike and don't fight it. You really got to flow with it. Bob does that really well. He's like a rag behind the bike sometimes.
That's why they call him Hurricane, is it? Or is that he just blows everybody off the street? I guess that's why they call him that.
Like in practice, you'll have a series of...
Now here's the one that I was talking, pardon me, Chuck.
Okay.
That looks just, to me, he just looks like he beat you to death. But you take all that in your legs, I guess, huh?
Yeah. You try to set up your bike to take as much suspension as possible, to absorb as much of the bumps as possible. But most of it's your body, the way you move your body to absorb the different jumps.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of moving around up in the saddle there in these things. Bob, how about the crowd? Is that enjoyable from a rider's standpoint? Can you kind of tell when they're with you?
Oh, you can hear them, especially when you're getting toward the front and you're passing for the lead. They'll be roaring, and you don't really have time to mess with it, listen to them, but you can hear them.
How about the end of one of these things now, 25 minutes? Aren't you just completely exhausted? I would certainly think so.
It's outdoors, Chuck was saying we ride 2 45-minute motos, and that's a little more physical demanding. In here, it's a little more mental demanding. I think it gets you about the same tired. Say compare it to 45 minutes outdoor, and 25 indoors, everything's so tensed up that you get tired.
And you got to say that again, I guess you can't lay back. You just got to give it all you got for 25 minutes in a row, right?
If you lay back for one lap, you might lose the race for you there.
Now, we ought to say, too, that there will be some amateur motocross racing on Sunday down there, too, and some of the guys have been qualifying for that show over the weeks here in San Diego. Chuck, I want to ask you, too, what does the show consist of now for you as a rider? You've got to appear in a qualifying race, and then what do we do from then on?
Right. There's 4 qualifiers where the riders are split up. In that qualifier, I've got to be in the top 5 to go into the main event of 25. If I don't make it in that, there's another chance in a semi and then a consolation. But I haven't had to run any of those this year. I've done really well in my qualifiers.
So a rider could conceivably have to ride in 4 races, so the final one being the main event. And you can run in a consi and a semi and then the main.
Yeah, he'll definitely be tired by the end of the night.
How many riders do you expect, Bob, at one of these shows?
It'll be 80, I think. 80. And it qualifies down to 25 in the main event, 25 best that night. And
you mean you've got 25 guys to start there and go into that 1-lane road?
It gets pretty tight in the first corner. I'd say everybody gets a little nervous there. Room for 3 or 4 guys to get through right, and everybody else is bumping and banging.
But you got to remember that they're all professional riders, and this is what we do for a living. And usually, the percentages of first-turn crashes is probably quite small. They do happen, but a lot of times it's a pretty clean start. It'll go really well.
Now you'll have some these jumps here too. You fly through the air for quite a ways too. Now there's a trick to that, setting the bike down after some of those little flights, I think.
Yeah, I think people that go to watch these races will definitely be able to pick out the different styles and techniques of the riders. Some riders ride really light on the bike and they can land really soft, where some riders are really heavy and harder in their equipment, and consequently a lot of times they'll break down a lot more. They'll bust wheels and they're just too hard on their bike.
Now Bob flies an airplane, so he's probably light on the bike, right?
Oh, I think both of us do now.
Yeah.
Do you travel quite a bit during the year, Bob? I guess you do. If you
yeah, we're on the road a lot. I've been home. I haven't even been home in 2.5 months.
Now in motocross racing, you've had quite a career. Now, what's the toughest race you've ever been in, Bob?
Oh, one that's getting down toward the end of the series and it's all tied up and the nerves come in there.
And the pressure's really on you, huh?
When the pressure's on you, that makes it rough.
And you've ridden up at Riverside now on one of these real long courses that are... Actually, you took a ride in a dune buggy this year at the off-road races up there at Riverside. And how did you do in that one?
Single-seaters. I drove them after I broke my leg. I could drive them without hurting my leg, so I drove Baja 500 and a Phoenix, some short courses in the Mint 400 and Riverside.
Were you able to hold the thing together?
Oh yeah, a few. I won one in Phoenix, short course. I got 4th in the Baja. In the Mint 400, we broke down. And
well, are you satisfied with that? That's a pretty good record, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
For a guy that's just kind of starting in that business against all those old pros.
No, it's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. Not quite as much as motocross, so.
How about that, Chuck? Do you have fun riding? I guess you do.
Oh, I really enjoy it. If you don't enjoy riding, then you're not going to do that well. I mean, we make our living at this, and that's, if we didn't make a living at it, we'd probably have to do something else. But that can't be the sole reason is money. You gotta enjoy what you're doing, and I think everybody out there really enjoys it.
Well, gentlemen, we're just about out of time now. We've been talking with Bob Hanna and Chuck Sun, and you gentlemen are going to be riding out at San Diego Stadium this Saturday night in the big super motocross there, and we want to wish you lots of luck, and we also want to thank you for coming and talking with us on Racing World.
No problem.
And we'll see you down there now. A couple things we want you to remember, our sponsors, won't you? Molly Mate, that's the oil additive that really works. And remember, down there at Speedway 117, Don Basile will be having the big first annual three-wheeler and the Odyssey Nationals down there at Speedway 117 coming up November 1st and 2nd. And again, we want to remind you about the Super Motocross at San Diego Stadium. They'll be going Saturday night and Sunday. There's amateur riding on Sunday. And we'll see Bob Hanna and Chuck Sun in the winner's circle down there on Saturday night. But we'll see you next Wednesday here on Racing World at 8:30 right here on Channel 2. See you then.
Racing World was brought to you by Molly Mate, the oil additive that really works. Automatic transmission service just off Highway 5 on India Street near the airport. Cajon Speedway in El Cajon and Speedway 117 in Chula Vista. Artwork was by McCoy Signs, and Racing World is an RWE production.